We'll do a review, the Mamer now, in Sefer HaMaimorim Meluket. This is the 14th Mamer in volume 4. And this is the Mamer of ציון bמשפט תפדהת ושווהו בצדקה, and which the Rebbe said on Erev Rosh Chodesh Mנחem. It was on a Tuesday, השלישי שהוכפל בכיתוב, Erev Rosh Chodesh Mנחem. And then later on, as it said in the note over here, that this was printed, both this Mamer and also the Mamer that follows, in that same year in Tafshin Lamed Hey, and that was published on Tuesday, שהוכפל בכיתוב, on the 7th day of Menachem in Tafshin Lamed Hey. So let's look at inside, learn inside. Cited the Shmaya Yom HaShlishi שהוכפל בכיתוב. It was on a Tuesday in which there is twice kitov in the Torah, special good day, and this was on Erev Rosh Chodesh Mנחem in Tafshin Lamed Hey, the eve of Rosh Chodesh Mנחem in Tafshin Lamed Hey. It says that this is a hanocha. Exactly the definition. Some of these, this was looked over by the Rebbe. This is from the Mugoim, but some of them the Rebbe wanted that it should be like a hanocha that represents that it was Munach was placed over there by the Chayzerim, those who recited. Rebbe wanted that to be a hanocha from that, and but it has gone through the Rebbe's Hagoah. The Rebbe's okay. We'll go inside. ציון bמשפט תפדהת ושווהו בצדקה. So this is the pasuk in Yeshayah, which is the last verse in the Haftorah before Tisha B'Av, the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av, the Pashtus Dvarim. So the pasuk says from Yeshayah that ציון will be redeemed, Tipodeh would be freed through Mishpat. Mishpat is Torah. And then there is a further, as the Rebbe will explain in the Mamer, there is the level also of Vishaveho. The Shaveho B'Tzdaka. They will be the captives. Those who are captives will be through Tzedakah. The Rebbe will explain that there is two madregas in the Neshama. There is the Etzem HaNeshama, which does not dress up in the body, which remains higher. And then there is the part of the neshama that comes down in the body, in the guf, in the nefesh habahamis. So even the tziyun of the neshama, that level of tziyun, which is the level of just a sign, represents the neshama, which means that it's really godly, and it's anos simona ba'alma, as Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, as we see in the Mamer. That level of tziyun, for that is enough to be mishpat, because it's not really captured. It through the fall of the rest of the neshama, which is dressed up in the body, also the tziyun gets a descent. It needs a redemption. So that's why it's tziyun, but over there, mishpat, it is through Torah tipodeh. But the vishaveho, those are the part of the neshama which is already in the body, and that is struggle. That can actually go into captivity. So is vishavel over there? We need tzedakah. The Rebbe will explain all of these details. But first, the first point the Rebbe wants to make is that over here we have also in the Navi Yeshayah, which is, this is the first Perek, but the whole Navi Yeshayah, while it is considered to be Yeshayah from Loshen Yeshua, salvation, but yet we find, and it's all considered all comfort, but yet we find that they're not Yeshua. There are some things which are difficult prophecies, which are punishment prophecies. And the Rebbe explains that they're all Yeshuas, but in the Kabbalah, it's either Gevuris Stam or Gevuris Mimutokis, meaning sweetened Gevuris. So even though those in Yeshayah, which come across as punishment are gvuris memutokos, they are stringency, but they are sweetened. Let's look inside. Hine posuk zeh ubetchila sefer Yeshaya. This verse is the opening, the beginning of the book of Yeshaya. She'inyon shel Yeshaya, what is the idea of Yeshaya is kishmoy who has its name, that what it is. Yeshaya, Meloshin, Yeshua, Yeshaya comes from the language of Yeshua, of salvation. It is a big Gemara, as we find in the Gemara, that Yeshaya, Kulo Nechemto, that Yeshaya, all of the book of Yeshaya is all of comfort. To the extent we say that it's all comfort, even those aspects in the prophecy of Yeshaya, which seemingly are not a salvation, but the truth is that they too are a salvation and a comfort. Even that appear to be not Yeshua, but the truth is that they are also a comfort and a salvation. Okay, before the Kabbalah, as explained in Kabbalah, those are the levels of stringency that have been sweetened. Is the salvation, the redemption, the future redemption comes through sweetened gevuras. That's why the main will be Yitzchak. That we will say the main thing in Laos and Lava, because the main thing is gevura, not chesed. It's going to be gevuras memusokis. As the Rebbe brings from the Gemara, Kadis of the Gemara, as we find in the Gemara, that that in the future we will say about Yitzchak that you are our father, meaning that Yitzchak is the main, from the office of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, it will be the main Yitzchak. Yitzchak is the idea of Gevuras, and the reason is because the Geula Hasida comes through Misuk HaGevuras, the sweetening of the Gevuras, so its main thing is Gevuras, but there is the Misuk, the sweetening of the Gevuras. So therefore, Lochein, by Yeshua Shebesefer Yeshayahu, Yeshnom Yeshua Shebechinas Chasodim Hagiluyim, you have those salvations that are on a level of revealed Chasodim, and then you have Yeshua's the Bechinas Gevuras Memutokim, those salvation that come from sweetened Gevuras, that the stringency that have been sweetened Gevuras and Hapochim Lachasodim Gevuras that are turned into kindness. Shehem Nailim Yoiser, they are more elevated, they're higher, the greater Mechasodim Hagluyim from the revealed Chasodim. So similarly is also in the prophecy, which is in the beginning of the Sefer, which is Perek Aleph in Sefer Yeshayahu, that has these two categories of chasodim, and Gevuras Memutokim is Misayim. He concludes the first Perek with the verse Bishnayim. Both of these ideas have ציון במשפט and Vishaveo B'Tzedakah Kidl Kamon. We have the chasodim Gluyim, and we have the turned around Gevuras Memutokos. These are the two inyonim of ציון b'mishpat tipode, v'shaveo b'tzedakah, as the Rebbe will explain. Kidel Kamon. Rebbe explains now in those bays that the two levels of the neshama, the level of the ציון of the neshama, and the rest of the neshama, the etzem haneshama, which is higher and cannot really go into captivity ever. That's why it's only tipoda. And then you have the lower level, the part of the neshama which dress up in the body, that can be b'derech shvia, in captivity. Basically, מבואר בהדרושים דברי המסחיל ציין במשפט תפדהת ושווה בצדוקה. It's explained in the Mamer of ציון משפט תפדהת ושווה בצדוקה. לכבד קדוש האדמו"ר הזוקן to the Alter Rebbe Rabbi Seinu Nisyeinu Memali Mekayme. And the Rebbes, the leaders, those who filled the place of the Alter Rebbe, following the Alter Rebbe in their Maimorim. So he explains over there, Shabbos Zeh Medubar al Devar Shtei Bechines. We're talking about here two separate levels in this pasuk of Tzien, B'mishpat Tepodem Shaveh. Tzien, the first level is level of Tzien. Shabechinas Tzien, when we talk about level of Tzien, Im hayoyso begolus, although Tzien is in exile. Shaloch ein tzricha pediyah, that's why you gotta redeem it. So it means that the Tzien could go into exile, and it needs redemption, but it is not in the category, it's not at the level of being a captive. It can be in exile, but it's not a captive. That's why, how do we redeem it from Golus? How is it redeemed? By justice, by right, or by Torah, but that's b'mishpat, that's the justice. Because it's a level that has never really been in captivity in a way of Shviyah. But then you have another level in the Neshama, which is the level of Shaveho, Shem Shavuyin Mamesh, they are actually in captivity. But over here, in order to redeem them from captivity, over there we need already the level of tzedakah. So to explain this idea of these two levels by the person. So when we talk about by a person, we're talking about the two levels in the neshama, because when we say Adam, the main thing is the neshama. That's the main of the person. As we find in Tanya in chapter 32, the Atem Kruyim Adam, that the Yidden are the ones that are called Adam. The Gemara says that you, Dafke Yidden, are called Adam. So what is the main of the Adam of the Yid? And the reason is Al Shem Adam El Elyon is because of its comparison. The word Adam is from the root Adam, compare the Elyon. So who is the Adam? That's the Neshama. So in the Neshama, we have the two levels of Tzien, and those that are Shaveh. Hine haneshama yeshno kvishi lemailo mihislapshus beguf. The soul, there is as it is higher than being dressed up in a body, which is the etzem haneshama. That's the essence of the soul, or pnimiyas halev, the inner of the heart. V'chulu. And then we have the other level, v'chelek haneshama hamislabish beguf, the part of the neshama that dresses up in the body. Generally speaking, that's the revealed koiches. The etzam haneshama is the tzion, but the powers that are revealed, shal haneshama, shein b'bchinas islapshus, they come down dressed up in the body. Hanikro regel shebeneshama, that is referred to as the feet of the neshama. So you have the etzam haneshama, the regel haneshama. The etzem haneshama, the pnim yisalev, and then you have the koiches hagelim of the neshama. That's the regel. That's the foot of the neshama. And this is what we say: Tziyun b'mishpat tepodeh b'shaveh b'tzedakah. Tziyun b'mishpat tepodeh tziyun, when we're talking about koyi al etzem haneshama, that is referring to the essence of the neshama, which is bechinas pnim yisalev, the inner of the heart. That is the tziyun. ובבחינה זו, and in this level, אין שייך עניין השבייה והשיבוד בלאום הזה חס ושלום, doesn't apply the idea of being in captivity and enslaved in the other side, God forbid. Golus, yeah, but not captivity, not slavery on the other side, God forbid. Berak inyan hagolus, only the idea of exile. Mashen came bekoiches haneshama, shebebchinas hislapshus beguf, as opposed to the powers of the soul, which are in the level of dressed up in the body, shayich inyan hashivya, over there applies the idea of captivity. And for this is what he says, Vishoveho bitzdaka. This is what he says, Vishoveho bitzdaka, the part of the koiches haneshama that are in the body, Shoveh bitzdaka, gam koiches haneshama shebibchinas islapshus, beguf, that also the powers of the soul, which are dressed up in the body, shem shvuyim mamesh bilumazeh, which are actually captives in the other side, even those the koiches haneshama which is in the guf, they're actually captive. Yivdu al dei tzedakah, they will be redeemed through tzedakah. So you have the level of tziyun. There is no not shaykh's captivity, it's not shvia, it's golus, but not in captivity, not in shibud, in lumazeh. And then you have the level of the koiches haneshama, which are revealed in the guf. They are actually captives, and they need to be redeemed through tzedakah. So the Rebbe is going to explain now what is this idea, what is the Pnimius Halev, and how does the Pnimius Halev work together with the Chitzonius, with the rest of the body, with the regular of the Neshama. Gimel, and in order to explain the idea, what is it, the inner of the heart? That is what we call Tziyun. So maybe Midrushim Hanal, Mashekosuv, so he brings in the Drushim of the above of the Maimorim of the Alter Rebbe and the Nisim that follow, but see Mishpat Tepode, he brings down the Posik Mashekosuv. So these words that I command you today, even though this was said a long time ago, the pasuk says the commands that I command you today. So our sages tell us that every time, every day, that every day the Torah needs to be, the mitzvahs need to be looked as if the Eibishter just told us today to do that. So they ask in the Maimorim, the Tzorich Lahavim, we need to understand, how could it be so that every day we should imagine that the Torah was just given today? We're not just saying words. It should be every day like new, okay, just, but we really mean it truthfully. All words of Torah are truthful. This needs to be, as all other matters in the true Torah, it needs to be be'emes, it needs to be with truth. That really you should feel that this is actually been given to you today, that Hashem is commanding you today. And if the Eibishter asks it for us, the Eibishter doesn't ask from us only according to our powers. That means that we have the ability to do so. If there are, otherwise, the Eibishter wouldn't say that it should be kechadoshim. It means that it is in the power of the person that it should be chadoshim. So it's evident that it is within the power of the person to reach to that. But it would seem since a human being is limited and there is changes, how is it possible to be shebekol yom yu be'enov kechadoshim, that every day it should be like new. So that's explaining the question here. How could we say this is a truthful expectation? It's expectation from everyone, and this is only fikoicham. And a person who is limited and is changing, how could he say every day it should be like new? So Babir Bazek, move a midrushman al, and the explanation of this, how could it be, as understood from the Maimorim of above, Shazo Mitzad B'chinas Pnimius Alev, that is because from the perspective of the inner of the heart, Shehi L'maylo Me'inyan Hashinuyim, which is higher than changes. The heart, the inner of the heart, is not affected by the changes. And therefore, Kasher Pnimius Alev Hiki Deboy, when the inner of the heart is as it should be. What does it mean? The pnimius heart is always, but it means that it's functioning. Hainu shehi begilui, that it's open, the pnimius alev is open. That impacts also on those powers of the soul which are dressed up in the body. And also on those garments of the neshama, which is the koiches of the neshama, which is the powers, the chesed, the intellect and the attributes of the neshama, and also the levushim of the neshama, which is machshava dibur u'maisa, the thought, speech, and action. Shagam bohem yiu divrei Torah kechadoshim, that also by them the words of Torah should be like new. Because through the revelation of the inner of the heart, also the powers, revealed powers of the neshama are complete. The inner pnimis alev, the gilu of the pnimis alev, impacts the koiches hageluyim, that they should be in their wholesome status. And that's why in this pasuk they're called Sion, that the level of the etzem haneshama is shining, and he becomes a Sion. A Sion means he's a marker, as the Rebbe will explain. So therefore, when you are a marker and you can tell, then it's also the shaveh, everything falls into place. When the tzin is bishleimus, the koiches hageluyim will be bishleimus as well. This is why they're called tzin. And Kamosha Kosuv brings in the bracket, Kamosha Kosuv Admor had Tzemach Tzedek, as the Tzemach Tzedek explains, the Rebbe the Tzemach Tzedek, Shah Pirush, the B'tzion Mishpat Tefadhet, that the meaning of that Tziyon can be translated the city of Tziyon, Tziyon Yerushalayim, Ki Mitzion Teitzi Seira, Dvar Hashem Yerushalayim. That Tziyon is referring not to the neshama, but we're talking about Tziyon, that we're talking about the city of Yerushalayim. So the Tzemach Tzedek says that the interpretation, the B'tzion, B'mishpat Tefadhet, the Tziyon Koi al Ha'ir, that Tziyon was referring to the city of Yerushalayim, or al Klolus Eretz Yisrael, or an Eretz Yisrael in general, Hudechek Tzas, Umefarish, and therefore the Tzemach Tzedek explains, that Tziyon Koi Alam Yisrael. Tziyon is the Jewish people, Tziyon B'mishpat Tefadhet. So why are they called Tziyon? Tziyon hu loshen siman. Sim is a loshen of a marker. Bekasher meir ba'odam gilui de b'chinas pnimius halev. When by the person there shines the revelation of the inner of the heart, oz hu b'chinas tzion. Then you become in the level you are at tzion. You're a marker. Loshen siman, a loshen of a marker. As Reb Shimon Bar Yochai said, "Ano Simona Balma." He says, "I'm all what I am is a marker." just a sign. Shekol mitziosei urak siman dinyonim shalomailam. His entire essence, his entire being is only that he is a sign for above. That is the Tzion. That's what it mentioned, the Tzion. So now the Rebbe is going to explain the place in the pasuk where we find Yidden called Tzion follows the in the pasuk over there, the completion, the wholesomeness in order to reach the level of Tzion, which is what the Tzemach Tzedek says, that the lashon of Tzion represents the Anos Simona Ba'alma, lashon of Tzion, that is just a sign, a marker in which there is no mitzias, and there is the level of representing the highest level of the neshama, the pnimius halei. The above explanation of the Tzemach Tzedek, that Tzion is referring to the people of Israel, the Jewish people. Move on. It's understood Al Pi Mamer Yerushalmi that this is based on the saying of the Yerushalmi al Posik, on the verse in Yeshaya. It says, "Va'osim dvarai b'ficha." I put my words in your mouth, meaning the Torah is Hashem's word in the mouth of a Yid. Ubetzel yodi kisisicha, and the shadow of my hand, the garments, the mitzvahs, I cover you. Kisisicha, the person is covered. He studied Torah and is covered with the mitzvahs. Lintoya shamayim v'lisoid oretz. And then you have that you're planting the Torah, the Soid Oretz, which would be the level of the Karbonis, as the Rebbe will explain, because through that you plant the Shemaim and the Oretz, to plant the Shemaim Oretz. So then, V'leimer l'tzion amiyata. Then I will say to Tzion, you are my people. So Tzion here is the Jewish people called Tzion. And the Yerushalmi says about this pasuk, we reviewed the entire Tanakh, all of the psukim, all the verses. We haven't found Yisrael Tzion Elozeh. The only place the Yidden are called Tzion is just in this pasuk. To say to Tzion, my people. So the Tzemach Tzedek explains that through the introduction of these three things of Osim Dvorei V'ficha B'tzel Yodi Kisisicha, in the meaning of them, that brings about the level of Tzion. So he explained that if you Pirush al Sham Misham, as the Yisham explained, and if there is V'osim Dvorei V'ficha Zutoira, I put my words in your mouth. That means Torah. Those are my words of Torah, that the Eibishter puts in your mouth. Dvar Havaya Zu Halacha. What is the word of Hashem? Dvari. My words. The Hashem's words are the Halacha, which is generally this is Torah. I covered you with the shadow of my hand. Zu. That is talking about act of kindness. General mitzvahs are called tzedakah. So I covered you with tzedakah. That is the kisisicha. That's the level of mitzvahs which are garment. That's why we say kisisicha. I covered you. And then it says lintoya shamayim v'lisoid oretz, to plant the heavens and to found foundation of the land, Eila Karbonis. Why is that the Karbonis? They are Karbonis, because it is through Karbonis that the laws of the Shemayim V'Oretz, the laws of the heavens and the earth, are sustained. By their Karbonis, Utfila, and further, and through the Karbonis and davening, which is in the place of Karbonis, Nasa Yichud Zovinukva, that creates the union of the male and the feminist and the masculine. Hanikroim Shemayim V'Oretz, which is called Shemayim v'oretz. So this is all the level of, basically, the level of mitzvahs. Korbanos and korbanos and tefillah, and that the mitzvahs is kisisicha, but this is the level of lintoya shemaim l'soid oretz is korbanos and tefillah. Through fulfilling these three matters, Yisrael hem b'bechinas tzion. The Yidden become in a level they are tzion. B'hainu, and that is the kasher gimel dvorim elu heim b'shleimus. When these three matters are complete in their wholesomeness, okefi shehem nirmazi b'pasuk zeh. In this pasuk, they're hinted on the highest level. We're not just talking about Torah. We're not just talking about mitzvahs. We're talking about Torah and mitzvahs and korbanos on the highest level. So first, when we talk about the study of Torah, that's in total subjugation. To the extent that it's not you are speaking on your own. You don't have a say. You're not saying it. But rather in you is being spoken the dvar havaya. It's my words in your mouth. Similar to as we say that Shechina medaberes b'toich gereino shel Moshe. That the Shechina was speaking from the throat of Moshe. It wasn't really Moshe speaking, but it was Hashem speaking in through Moshe's throat, through Moshe's mouth. The zehu, this is the meaning of osim devorai b'ficha. I put my words in your mouth. Shedvar havayu hamedaber b'fiv. That it's the words of Hashem that speaks in his mouth. So that's the level of Torah on the highest level of bittul, so that it's Hashem speaking. The same thing with kiva mitzvahs shaloi. The same thing in his observance of mitzvahs. Hu bebchinas bittul is in a level of subjugation. Shemitziusa ein energeshes, that you don't feel his mitzias, his self, his entity is not felt ki imhu mechusa, but rather he's covered kisisicha. B'tzel yodi, in the shadow of my hand, which is Yodi Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He is covered by the shadow. Hashem's hand covers him. Hainu b'mchinas ha-mitzvahs, that's the level of mitzvahs, not stam mitzvahs k'moshe, mitzvahs havaya, they're mitzvahs of Hashem. That is b'tzel yodi, my mitzvahs. Barachas kama v'kama shekenu b'kavo ha'avodah. And for sure, even more so, in the kav, in the line of avodah, that his work is to plant the Shemayim and to found the Oretz. And that meaning that he is in a high level, that his avodah does the Shemayim so the Oretz. So that brings into parenthesis through similar to what we find in the Zohar. Through the efforts and words of Torah, is avid mahu mila shamayim chadoshim beretz chadosha. So then, from those words is created a new heaven and a new earth. V'hainu, that means shadibur shaloi udugmas dibur shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that his words become similar to the words of Hashem. The Eibishter creates through his words, and here when he is speaking, his creation, Torah, is coming through words. Just like me, by my words, I created Dvar Havaya Shemaim Nosa Seres Amamoris, it's Shemaim Ba'oretz, same thing you, creating through the learning of Torah. And that's why it's Shemaim Ba'oretz. That means that the Avodah is on the highest of levels. When you fulfill the three above, the Torah, mitzvahs, and tefillah, Avodah, and then is v'leimer l'tzion ami aterotzen she'einam b'bechinas mitzias b'fnei atzmam. They are not an entity, the neshamas, the yidden are not an entity by themselves, ki mitziusam hi, but their mitzias is, what is their existence? Shem simen dehanyonim shalamayla, they are a sign for the matters of above.